guys, my name is Kaushik and welcome back to Lambda Test. In this video, we are going to learn what is a frame and how to handle frames or iFrame and how to handle the nested frame, and also we are going to learn how many ways are there in Playwright to handle a frame. So let's get started with what is frame. A frame is a part of a web page which can display its own content within the HTML. For example, if you visit websites like IRCTC or any other websites, there you might see some ads, right? So ads are basically from the third party. So we don't want to give our entire web page access to a particular third party vendors, but rather we can just provide a placeholder where they can embed their ads. So that is how it works. Ads is just an example. In frame we have a lot of things. For example, if you want to segregate the web page into multiple layers or multiple sections, then also we can go with the frames. And frames are very old technique. Nowadays we mostly use iFrames in the sense like I stands for inline. That means we can embed the document or any other sections within the page itself without using the frame set tag, whereas frames are used mostly within the frame set, or also we can use like frames directly. But inline frames, the iFrames, are mostly implemented nowadays, and it is easy compared to the frames. So let's get into the Playwright learning. We are going to learn how to handle the frames. So I'm going to give you a very quick and useful example. So this one is called as rich text editor. Probably you might have seen in your web application or maybe in some another application. So this is basically within the frame tag. How I know? If I do rightly, you can see like here we are getting options like view frame source and reload frame. That means of course it's within the frame. Another way of knowing this is basically go to your DOM, and here you can see like we have this body which is the blue highlighted, the entire body, and within that you can see like we have another or just go and inspect this particular guy, and if you see this is HTML and the above tag is iFrame. So if we see a HTML tag inside another HTML tag, then of course it's a frame. Okay, and mostly it will be denoted in the form of iFrame, but of course you can see frame in some pages as well. Now this is very simple, like how we interact with other animals, as we have learned already, but only trick here is basically we have to go to the frame first, and from the frame we have to do the interaction. In Selenium we say like driver dots is to frame followed by the index locator or maybe the string, or ID of the name. But in Playwright is little different. We don't have to do this switching, we just have to get the frame locator. Let me show you. So first thing first, of course we are going to launch our Playwright instance. So for that we can say like playwright.create, and then we can say like playwright.chromium, and it's going to give us the browser. So let's name it like browser, and then I can say like browser dot launch, and then I can say like new page, which is going to return the page reference. Now of course first thing we have to navigate to the page, so we'll say like page.navigate and then followed by the particular URL, and here we have to interact with this particular. So this is a rich text editor. We cannot simply just say like dot fill or type. So first what we have to do is, so see here we have the basically the p tag. So if I do the click action, then if I type something, it's possible. So we are just doing the type action within the p tag, but usually we know that in HTML we have to do the send case, the fill or type actions within the input tag, right? But here it's p tag. So how do we handle it? It's very simple. First of all, we'll find the body and we will do the click action, then we can just do the clear, and then whatever the data we want to pass we can pass. Okay, so and what are the data we are going to pass, that will be here within the p tag. It's very simple, don't get complicated. Let me explain one more time. So first thing, we have to locate this particular frame, iFrame, and here we can see like we have a title, we have class name, we have ID. Of course ID is good, so we can just go with this. So here I can say like page dot. There are two ways. Let me show you the easiest one and the newest one. So here we have an option called FrameLocator, right? So not this one, let me clear it up. Yeah, so here we have an option called FrameLocator, and within this we have to give a FrameLocator. So this can be like your ID css xpath, whatever you can just pass as a string. Okay, so this is going to return me the frame locator. So we have identified the frame. Now from the frame, so instead of saying like page dot get by locator or page dot locator, we have to say like frame locator then followed by the locator, right? So for example, I have to uh, interact with the body first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say like dot locator then followed by the body, and which is going to return me the locator. Let me name it like body locator, something like that. And from the body, what we are going to do is we are going to do the click action first. Okay, so body locator dot click. Once we do the click, then we have to clear the existing value. So we'll say like body locator dot clear, which is very simple. And then I want to type. Okay, so here I will say like body locator dot fill or type, anything is fine. I'm going to use the fill option here. Okay, so here I can say something like hey, something like this. Okay, now let's go and run this. Let's see if it's working or not. Okay, so let's go and run this now. And yeah, it's running actually, but we are not able to see anything because it's running in the headless mode. So we know that by default Playwright runs in the headless mode. So I'm just going to change this so I can bring the launch options, and here I can say like new launch option then followed by set headless and false. Okay, now let's go and run this one more time. So it's navigated to that particular site, and here you can select it clear the existing value, then it just type whatever the things we want. Okay, and of course you can do a lot of things, like you can select the text, you can click on this bold or italic or the left right, all this thing you can do. Okay, so I will leave that to you. This is just a learning of the frame, so I hope you are able to understand this one. So yeah, that's it. We are pretty much done with this particular learning. Okay, let me give you a quick recap what we have learned. Frame is really easy concept. Unlike Selenium, it's very simple. Okay, so first of all we have to navigate to the page. This is our main page, and then we have the frame locator. So frame locator is basically the way of finding the frame. Okay, so here we have given id. If id is not there, of course you can go with any css value or any xpath value, and from the frame locator we just have to do rest of the things as we do with the page. So for example is page dot locator, instead of that I have to say like frame locator dot locator or click or fill or what are the actions you want to do, of course you can do. Okay, and lastly we'll also close the page dot close, and also we'll close the playwright instance. Okay, but we'll do that later. Okay, yeah, we'll do this also later. Okay, now let me give you one more example. So this is very easy example because in this page we have only one frame. So how to find the number of frames is very simple. Just give control F double slash and you can give like iFrame. So here you can select we have one frames. So of course it's very easy. What if I have multiple frames? For example, if you go to this particular site and if you go and inspect, and if you go like double slash iFrame, you can see like we have like 1 of 5, and most of the things are invisible because those are like Google ads. But this one, this first name and last name, this is my interactable iframe, which is this one, and within that also I have another frame which is going to be the nested frame. So we are going to learn how to handle the nested frame as well. Okay, so let's go and find this particular page first. Let's go navigate. So page dot navigate the URL, then let's see how to find number of frames programmatically with the help of Playwright. So here I can say like page dot frames, which is going to return me the list of frames. So for example, I will get like number of frames available. Okay, then from the frames, of course I can say like I can get some properties. For example, let's loop through each and every frame. and here you can see something like URL. Okay, so this will return the each and every frame URL. What is URL? In the sense, like if you go to any of the frame, so here you can see like src is basically frame UI. So this is my letcode.in/frame UI is the URL. Similarly, for each and every frame there will be a URL, so we're going to print that. Okay, so let's go and run this now. Okay, so here you can see like we have one ad here and another ad here. So all these ads are basically within the frame. So if you go and see the number of frames, yeah, I forgot to print the number of frames, but you can see like there are a lot of blank frames available, and this is the one, and this is from your Google ads, and this is from our inner frame. So we have a lot of things here. Okay, so if you want to print the size, you can just simply say like sysout frame dot size. Of course it's a not this one, frames dot size. Of course it's a list, so whatever the properties of list are there, we can get it. Okay, so here we can say something like number of frames. Okay, and let me just close this playwright dot close just to save some memory. Okay, so here you can see like totally we have like 15 frames, but when we go to this particular browser we are able to see only 5, because it's a Google AdSense. It will keeps on changing based on the number of pages, visits, and a few other things. And by the way, I'm using Brave browser, which doesn't show any ads, so that's a different thing. Okay, yeah, so you got the idea. Like we have this frame UI, we have this main frame. Of course the main page is also a frame, and then we have this inner frame. Okay, so we got all the links. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the interaction. Okay, so first of all we are going to interact with this, like first name last name. We can do this. So this is like my parent frame. Within the parent frame I have the child, or we can also say like nested. Okay, so let's go and inspect this particular frame. So here we have something like this one. Okay, so here we have like ID, name, and also the src. You can take anything. Okay, so for example, let's find this particular thing. So here I'm going to say like page dot frame locator, and the locator, it's going to be this ID. So let me copy and paste over here. This is going to return me the what is this? This is my, let's name it like first frame. Yeah, so from the first frame, if you want to do interact with any of the element, of course you already know. Just to show you, I'm going to show this one. So enter name. Okay, so this is my placeholder, right? So here I can say like first frame dot get by placeholder and the placeholder value, and then I can say of course like fill or type, and the value. Okay, so I'm just going to give my name. Okay, now this is how we interact with the first frame that we already know. How to interact with the nested? So for example, if I go inside this thing, this particular input is actually within another HTML and within another frame, and this frame is located inside this particular frame. Okay, so this is your child or the nested frame. So how to find this particular frame? So for example, here we have a class called has background, right? I'm just going to copy that, and here from the first frame I'm going to find the frame locator again, and which is basically my class, and this is going to return me the nested frame. Okay, I hope you are able to understand this. So first of all, we found the main frame, the first frame, and from the first frame we are again finding the frame locator to find the frame, and from the nested frame we can do the interaction. So for example, here we have like enter email as a placeholder, right? So I'm just going to copy this, and here I can select nested frame dot get by placeholder, the placeholder value, and then followed by type. And here I'm going to say like okay, so that's it. I'm just going to comment this line just to show you the output. So let's go and run this now. So here you can select, first of all we found this particular frame and it typed the name, then we are getting some error. Okay, and it says like, oh, it says like strict mode violation error. That means like we have multiple same location. Okay, so it's basically finding the parent as well as the child thing, so that's why we are getting this one. Okay, so how to fix it is very simple. So we have to make it unique. Before that, let me check whether this one is correct or not. Yeah, it's 1 of 1, it's correct, of course. So we can just replace this and can say like from the nested frame, I am trying to find this placeholder, then type. It should work, I guess. Let me check one more time. Yeah, it worked now. Okay, so basically when we use the has background, that means like the particular thing is duplicate, so that's why we are restricting to the like frame. So now we have like one, and here you can see like we have typed like mail.com, but if you see the output, it didn't type the things entirely. That I have noticed in something, sometimes in Playwright when we have nested it does, but it works most of the cases. Okay, so let me run again. Yeah, so now we can see this time it typed perfectly, but in previously it was like skipped few letters, which happens in Playwright for a very few time, I can say, but we can expect that to be fixed in the upcoming versions. Okay, so this is how we have to interact with multiple um, uh, frames as well as nested frame. Okay, so it's very similar to your Selenium, but better implementation, I can say, because there we use like switch to. So when we switch to, our focus will be entirely switched within the frame. But here the advantage is like, for example, let's say we are within the nested frame, we have typed this particular thing. Now again I go back to my parent frame, so I don't have to switch. I can do simply like I can just bring this line again here, and let me change this to like maybe like strategy, and I'm going to use the fill so that it will clear and type, right? So what will happen in the sense like we don't have to switch from here to here, here to there. Instead of that, we can just simply call the frame or the parent or the page, and we can just do the interaction. That's it. It's very simple. So here you can see like it's going to enter Kaushik and then the mail ID, then again it will come back and it will change like Kaushik Chatterjee. Okay, so that's it. Very simple thing. I hope you are able to I hope you are able to understand this. Okay, so this is one way of finding, which is recommended by Playwright team nowadays, because this is the FrameLocator is new API. Previously we have also another API like frames. For example, I can select page.frame, and here I have to give the frame name, and then it's going to return me the frame. And from the frame object we can say like find the locator, and whatever the interaction you want it to do, you can do. Okay, so this is also one way of interacting with frames, but I'm going to skip this because this is not recommended nowadays. We have to go with the frame locator, which is really easy and of course easy to understand as well. Okay, so that's it from my side. If you have any queries, feel free to ask me in the comments. I'll be happy to reply. Let me give you a quick recap. So first of all, we have this function called FrameLocator, where we have to specify the frame, and we can specify based on the CSS, XPath, ID, whatever the locators you know, based on that. Okay, so from the FrameLocator reference, we can just use like functions like locator, fill, whatever we have learned, the basic actions, we can do everything. If you want to do the nested, you first find the parent frame. From the parent frame, you have to go to the child frame with the help of FrameLocator again, and based on that you can just use the nested frame and you can do all the interactions. That's it. Okay. And unlike Selenium, we will not switch our focus to a particular frame and we'll stick to that. Like in Selenium, we know that when we do the switch, we have to again bring back our context to the main driver. For example, driver.switch to frame, and then again we have to select driver.switch to parent frame or switch to default content, and then it will focus in the parent page, main page. But in Playwright it's different. We can have the focus within the frame as well as within the main page as well as. That's it, very simple. Okay, so yeah, that's it. If you have any queries, feel free to ask me in the comment. I'll be happy to reply. Tada, bye bye, take care.